Hello everyone, I'm Marisol and I apologize for the technical difficulties, but today I'm going to talk about autism spectrum disorder. So what is autism spectrum disorder? It is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects how individuals interact with others, how they learn and process information, and how they behave. So according to the DSM-5, there's specific criteria that needs to be met in order for someone to be diagnosed with ASD. And this can be from persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts, so as listed below, as well as restricted repetitive patterns of behaviors, interests, or activities as manifested by at least two of the following. Also, symptoms must be present in early developmental period, but may not become fully manifest until social demands exceed limited capacities or may be masked by learning strategies in later life, which we will touch upon in the presentation. Symptoms cause clinically significant impairment in social, occupational, and other important areas of current functioning. And lastly, these disturbances are not better explained by intellectual disability or global developmental delay. So one of the videos that I came across was a TED Talk by Ethan. It's called What It's Really Like to Have Autism. And in this TED Talk, he states how people are trying to find a cure for ASD, almost as if it's a bad thing or if it's a disease, but it's just a different way of thinking and looking at the world. He states, our brains function differently from most people's brain. Think of it as comparing an Xbox and a PlayStation. They're both highly capable consoles with different programming. So he's talking about someone with ASD and someone without ASD. It doesn't make one better than the other, but essentially they're just different, but they're both highly capable individuals. He also goes on to say that the main problem with living autistic in today's society is that the world just isn't built for them. So individuals with ASD can feel overwhelmed by things such as loud noises, strong smells, bright lights, certain textures, etc. So whenever they're feeling overwhelmed by this, they then have to learn how to regulate themselves, and what they do to quote unquote zone out is mask. And he goes on to say, this is another quote that I liked from him: my inner feelings are unlimited, but my mind only lets me experience extremes or nothings. And he gives the example of how normal people, whenever they're happy, they smile, but his response would come out as a huge burst of gleeful wheezing, hand flapping, and loud vocal woohoos. But his response would not be considered socially acceptable. Therefore, he has to engage in masking. The other video that I came across was by Kate. It's Behind the Mask, Autism for Women and Girls. So Kate, in this video, sheds light as to why many girls and women are often overlooked when it comes to ASD diagnosis. And the reason why this happens is because women tend to demonstrate more socially acceptable behaviors. And they do this because women tend to be better at masking. So masking is the ability to mimic others in order to fit in and hide their challenges or characteristics. So due to their signs being less obvious, they therefore get a later diagnosis. And a later diagnosis increases their anxiety, depression, or low self-esteem because throughout their life, they know that something's wrong or they're coming across challenges. And therefore, one of the consequences can be feeling anxiety, depression, or low self-esteem. So she encourages for more research to be conducted on how ASD presents in females, because when more research is conducted and we find out why or how we can better help women with ASD, then we're able to create better tools for early detection, leading to early intervention. Lastly, this is a parent's perspective of Karina. So she has a son on the spectrum, and the video is called To Understand Autism, Don't Look Away. And her son is nonverbal, and she states, how could I make people see not only his autism, but see him as the person he is and everything that he can give, everything that he can do. So many people, or I should say many parents who have their children on the spectrum have this fear of letting their child just be a child and explore the world because they fear their child is going to be judged or that they will not be supported in ways that their child should be supported. She says there's nothing there is no need to be an expert, nor do anything or I'm sorry, let me read that again. There is no need to be an expert, nor do anything to include someone. Essentially, it costs nothing to be kind. And she says, if you're curious, just ask, because at the end of the day, they have their own struggles, and just by asking, you can find the answers. And once again, just don't judge, and just it costs nothing to be kind. So my takeaway from the 3 videos and learning more about the diagnosis is that ASD is very broad, and as future OTs, it is crucial that we understand how we can best serve each individual. So we can create personalized interventions to help with sensory sensitivities. For example, how I stated earlier, they might feel overwhelmed by certain textures, light, so just adjusting or modifying the environment to best suit them. Also learning making interventions for self-care skills. Some of them can have that sensory sensitivities to teeth brushing, for example. So adapting and finding new ways to still help them engage in those self-care skills. Fine motor skills, play-based therapy is very crucial, especially for those children, since their primary occupation is play. Social skills, therapy, emotional regulation, because sometimes it might be difficult for them to express how they're feeling. And lastly, supporting mental health challenges. Thank you.